What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Galactus video. Alright, so in this one here, we're going to have Shadow Shell versus Galactus. So I decided to try her out against Galactus just because I did get her to level 70. I'm pretty much just going to be doing that with any character I get to level 70 now. I'm just going to see how they do against Galactus. And just because I'm making a video does not mean that they did good against Galactus or I was able to clear Galactus or anything like that. So just because you see this video, Galactus versus Shadow Shell or Shadow Shell versus Galactus, doesn't mean that she did well there. I'm just going to let you know that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the build here for Shadow Shell. She did okay in GBR for Master Mode though. Not spectacular, but she did okay there. You can go ahead and just check out my review video of Shadow Shell if you want to see that fight, because that's where I have the Master Mode fight. So let's go ahead and take a look at her gears here. So for her gears, I just have 2 Ignore Defense Uru on her. For her 4th gear, I have it leveled up to 22 to get that extra bonus for the last rolled slot there. And then the skills, I have her 3rd skill fully leveled up, and that was for, why did I fully level this up? I don't remember why I did. I don't think I need to. Anyway, I have that leveled up for some reason. And then the 5th skill I have leveled up for the 100% chance for damage immunity, and then also to increase the accumulation, which is one of the tricky things about playing her, is this accumulation here. Because you need to get hit for this accumulation, because her damage really kind of takes a nosedive if you do not get hit for the accumulation. So she relies quite heavily on that, which is one thing that I don't really like, just because she's protected while using this skill because we have a guard and damage immunity, but she gets knocked out of it so easily that you end up missing a lot of that damage if your damage proc goes off when you're using the 5th skill. For the ice weight set here, we have Overdrive. We have it to stage 6, so just some 6-star ice weights on her. For her custom gear here, her Obelisk, we have Guard Break Immunity, Poison Damage, and a 180 proc. And that is just because the Guard Break Immunity to hopefully minimize getting knocked out of the 5th skill when we're trying to accumulate, but that's kind of hard to do because a lot of the world bosses and in GBR, they have just skills that break guard. So they have guard breaking, or I don't know what the penetrating, guard penetrating skills. So the guard break immunity doesn't really work there. So they still get to guard broken, even though we have the guard break immunity, which is quite annoying. So for those instances, you do need super armor, which you will see 2 fights here with Shadow Shell, because I'm trying to get a comparison of her with and without super armor. So we will have that. For her details here, go ahead and take a look. We have attack speed at 123, so a little bit low there. Her crit rate and crit damage are pretty low as well. Her ignore defense was lower than I thought it was. I thought I had a little higher than 42%, but I ran out of ignore defense Uru, which you're going to hear a lot just because I do not have a lot of ignore defense on my cards. So all of my characters, when I want to test them out, I have to put some ignore defense Uru on them, so I'm always running out of it. Her skill cooldown is at 46%, which that doesn't really affect anything too much here, because you kind of just use the 5th skill and then you use a few filler skills, just run around a little bit and then wait for the 5th skill to come back, because I think it's on a 8-second cooldown, but I don't think that really matters. Yeah, it's on an 8-second cooldown, but I haven't really had a problem with getting her damage proc to line up with the 5th skill. So that's what Shadow Shell is looking like. So let's go ahead and hop into the gameplay against Galactus and see how she fared. Alright, so here we are loading into the first fight. We've got a tier 3 Captain Marvel and a tier 3 Cyclops to try to help us out here. The team that I'm going with for Shadow Shell is we have She-Hulk's leadership, and then we have Coulson for his tier 2 support. And I think my Coulson has a CTP of Insight on him as well, so I'll point that out. So we have a little bit of extra damage there. So this first team here is just to see how Shadow Shell does on her own. The next fight that I'm going to be doing is going to be swapping out She-Hulk for Nick Fury, so that we can get that super armor to see if that helps, because as we can see here, wait for it, as soon as I try to get the 5th skill, I try to line it up so I get hit, so I get the damage accumulation. As you can see here, boom, I just get punched right out of the 5th skill. Which, now that I look at it, might not be too bad for GBR, because you get punched out of the 5th skill, but the serpent still stays there. We dodged that time, but the serpent still stays there to do the damage, and then you can hop into, I guess, the 4th skill, maybe hop into the 4th skill, and then you can get the damage from both the 5th and the 4th skill, and you'll have the damage immunity up from the 5th skill. So let's see if we can do that here. Pop in, and yeah, so actually it might not be as bad as I thought, because you can still get that damage from the 5th skill. I kind of was thinking that you just lose the damage altogether, but it doesn't seem to be the case. You can just hop into the 4th skill and still have your damage proc go off while the 5th skill is activated, which is nice, and then you also get the accumulation. But it is still better to just stay in the 5th skill and get the accumulation as well, because as you can see here, when you stay in the 5th skill, Shadow Shell herself actually shoots alongside the serpent. So she sits there in the kind of bubble that the serpent made, and she shoots her own beam out of the gun that she has. So you have that extra damage there. So it probably is better overall to stay in the 5th skill, but it's not as bad as I thought to get knocked out of it, because you can still get some of the damage and then also hop into the 4th skill to kind of pick up a little bit of that slack there. But overall, you want to stay in the 5th skill for the damage. Which we'll see a little bit later, kind of the difference, which actually, now that I think about it, isn't as much as I thought, because it's probably just from Nick Fury's leadership, or his passive. But as you can see here, we're still doing okay, nothing too crazy. Just gonna be skipping ahead a little bit here throughout the fight, because this is going to be a fight where we end up timing out, but I decided to do the full fight just to see how much damage Shadow Shell could do in the full 10 minutes, to see if she would be a viable kind of, if she'd be a viable counter for Galactus here, where she'd be able to do a third of the damage, just to have that input there. So we're going to skip ahead again here. Then still 5 minutes left. So just showing a little bit more of the damage here, how her damage is really bad if you don't get that accumulation. So if you don't have any accumulation on the 5th skill, she barely moves that life bar for Galactus. Whereas when she gets the accumulation, at least you can see the life bar moving, which is nice. Oh yeah, and that first skill is really good for kind of that guy's jumping ship there. He's like, oh, we're not going to get anywhere close. I'm out of here. The first skill is a really good movement skill. Like, you can use the joystick to move her around during the first skill, and it's a really quick kind of jump dodge roll type animation. So really good for getting out of trouble, and also like canceling any of your skills. Like if you're in the 5th skill and Galactus is about to do like an unblockable attack, you know, like this beam attack right here, just use the first skill and you can cancel out of the skill and get a lot of movement and dash right into the safe zone. So it's actually quite nice. That time I dashed out of it a little bit because I wasn't paying attention, and I was trying to do the skill here because I was trying to see if the accumulation actually works when you're in that damage bubble, which I think it does, because the accumulation is supposed to ignore damage immunity and stuff like that. So I think you can accumulate while you're in there. But as you can see, we only did 17.5 million damage in the 10 minutes. So definitely not hitting that 1/3 of the damage threshold. So here is the fight with Nick Fury as the leadership, and we have a tier 3 Sharon Rogers here that kind of just decimates Galactus here. So it's going to be a short fight, and we don't get to see too much of the difference in the damage with having super armor, so that we can guarantee that accumulation. Because as you can see with the super armor here, just wait for the next attack. I pop the 5th skill and he punches me, and we do not get knocked out of the 5th skill. So that is the benefit of super armor. It picks up the slack for that guard break immunity, so that you don't get knocked out of any of your skills, which is fantastic. As you can see, that Sharon Rogers is just destroying Galactus, but we can still get an okay idea of what Shadow Shell can do with the accumulation here. Just gotta kind of calculate out what kind of damage it ended up being. So we'll just let this play through here and get a little bit more damage with Shadow Shell, and just watch the Sharon Rogers wreck Galactus, which I will be doing a video on that soon. I haven't done a video on Sharon Rogers' new uniform here, so I kind of wanted to compare the two uniforms and see the increase in damage and just the difference in her playstyle with this uniform. So that'll be something to look forward to in the future. But for right now, we have Shadow Shell waiting for waiting for Galactus to get knocked out, but he didn't. So let's just shoot off the skill here. No accumulation going on, so we'll get another accumulation in here. Here we go. That is a lot of damage. Yeah, as you can see, we're not keeping up at all, and the damage may look low. We're only at like, what, 5 million there or something like that. But keep in mind, barely 2 minutes has gone by, whereas in the other clip, that was a full 10 minutes of damage and fighting there. So pretty big difference in terms of the time. So you can't really take that damage number at face value. Surprised that other guy's still alive. Look at him just running around with his rockets. He's done like, I didn't notice how much, but he's done like almost no damage. His bar is like non-existent. It's so funny. Well, maybe he still needs Silver Surfer. Let's just say we're helping him out. Well, not we, or that Sharon Rogers is doing all the work here, because my Shadow Shell is not really pulling her weight. I was hoping for a little bit better because I do really like Shadow Shell, but her damage is just a little underwhelming. So yeah, I mean, she'll be good for certain things, like she can do mid to somewhat higher. Oh, we died there from the giant blue orbs. Those things are so annoying. But she can do like mid to mid high world boss ultimate, whatever you want to call that. So not too bad, and then she could do really well in Shadowland as well if you're pushing for this higher stage. It's always really good to have another kind of mid floor clear for Shadowland. So what did we get here? It's about 6 million, and I think when I added this up to see what the difference in damage was, we were doing an extra 150,000 damage a minute with the Nick Fury lead, which that could just be from Nick Fury's passive though, because we have that extra boost there. So we got, what, a 40% damage difference from She-Hulk's leadership to Nick Fury, including Nick Fury's tier 2 passive. So yeah, something like that, like a 40%. So it could just be that. So maybe it wasn't the accumulation. Maybe getting knocked out of the 5th skill and then just using the 4th skill was pretty similar damage. That could be the fact as well, because 150,000 damage extra a minute doesn't sound like a lot, but considering that she was only doing 17 million and then 6 million of those 2 clears, that is a pretty sizable portion of that actual damage. So yeah, I mean, take that at face value. But Shadow Shell, not going to get my recommendation for Galactus. I wouldn't really try to use her here unless you're like giving her like the best build you can, like with CTP or Rage, and just giving her a fully maxed out Uru and just full support on team ups and stuff like that. I don't really see her doing very well here against Galactus, even with someone that's built her, you know, significantly better than my current build. But that's just my opinion here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.